Melissa, or as I will call her, Melissa Dollman. I asked her the definition of wonky. She said, when expectation meets reality. Give it up for Melissa Dollman doing Cue the Woman, Women, Woman.
My fellow insomniacs, I dedicate the use of my notes to you. Here's my personal account about a confrontation with wonkiness during the creative process, or a story about discovering I'm not the lonely hunter I make myself out to be. To begin, last April, Raleigh Public Access Channel 10 showed a video essay I made called Cue the Women. About a couple of years culmination of work, this video essay made about 45 minutes long. First, Cue the Women didn't start out as a creative project. I received a Harvard Library research grant to study this obscure 1977 video featuring Betty Friedan and women working in public access television generally during the 70s and 80s. I was supposed to publish an article, but I just wasn't into it. Sometime during all that change and having fun playing history detectives, I came up with the inspired idea to produce a public access television show about a history of public access television. This led me to taking classes at Raleigh Television Network over on Martin Street, and we'll talk more about that later. That's New York Public Library and a few other places. Now, I'm not assuming that you know much about the topic of 1970s public access television production in Manhattan, but if you do, I totally want to talk to you later. So here's a 20-second per person survey of some major players, all women folk, from this period of its history and what they were up to. Betty Friedan worked with 2 producers and a handful of crew on her 1977 Manhattan Cable Channel J special, during which she interviewed numerous friends as their guests. Later in life, she was an advocate for cable as a breeding ground for women producers. That's a couple screenshots from her show. Betsy Combier turned down a job with the CIA, so she says, to work for New York's Q magazine and a man named Mort Siegel, who also produced Friedan's special, on a magazine-style show called Q&J on Manhattan Cable. She reportedly used her family connections to be one of the first people to gain sponsors for a cable show, you know, Sex with Avenue and Tiffany's. Mimi Torchin went from being a columnist covering the theater scene for Q magazine to doing the same on camera for Q&J. Prior, she appeared in an episode of The Bob Newhart Show, which I totally want to find, and also founded Soap Opera Weekly. It would be on like Joan Rivers' show talking about soap operas. Theodora Skluber established community-based Open Channel, for which she organized local cable committees and trained citizens to use video equipment. She brought in over 200 television and film professionals to volunteer their expertise towards the cause. Florence Rappaport. She interviewed hundreds of women over the course of 16 years on Long Island Cablevision's show Focus on Women. In 1980, she founded Women's Space, a social and political organization for women in Great Neck, New York, that advocated for women on a number of progressive issues and also provided support services. Dee Dee Hollick founded Paper Tiger TV, a public access channel that made its start on Manhattan Cable and Deep Dish Satellite Network, the first community-run satellite network in the country. She remains an advocate for public access to this day. Florence Kennedy was a lawyer, activist, organizer, and co-founder of the National Organization for Women. During her many years as an interviewer on her own public access program, The Flo Kennedy Show, on Manhattan Cable, there's a theme here, she interviewed hundreds of guests on a number of forward-looking issues. On the left, she's being interviewed. Nancy Kane, from the 1960s onward, she was a co-founder and active member of Video Freaks, a guerrilla group who trained a number of video makers and started a pirate cable access station in Lanesville, a town in New York State's Catskills Mountains. Many townspeople were involved and were featured in their videos. Brad Burns mentored students in NYU's interactive telecommunications program, which also included Betsy Combier, where she was taught, and co-founded the Alternate Media Center with George Stoney. She saw public access television as an interactive technology and potential means for two-way communication over long distances. So these are 2 sets of older people talking to each other. So what did you glean from the past 180 seconds? Public access production is community-oriented by nature, media making that takes the emphasis off the I in favor of the we. After watching all this archival footage, a theme began to emerge. My subjects of study had worked through their creative impulses collaboratively with other women and men. Once I began reflecting on my own creative process, I questioned why I didn't collaborate, not just more, but like at all on this project. Raleigh Television Network's rules dictate that people work as a team on in-studio productions, and any professional-looking production shot in the field almost always requires 2 sets of hands anyway. So what did I do? I used photographs and archival footage, a voiceover I recorded alone in an audio booth at NC State Sound Library for my one-off special, for which I had total control. I literally did the whole thing by myself. But as I started writing the credits, it began to dawn on me. I had actually had a ton of help on this project. Maybe not logistically and intellectually as my subjects demonstrate, but many, many people assisted me and offered suggestions as I gathered resources, learned new skills, and just needed to talk about my ideas. Along the way, I discovered an alternate meaning to the word cue. In the context of the video's title, it means to prompt or direct to come in, but it also means something that stimulates a person into action. I was both stimulated and prompted to reevaluate my wonkiness. And what might have remained wonky in my approach to future creative projects, I foresee will wobble and straighten with practice into playing well with others towards the we. And here's a picture of Pikachu because I continually mispronounce the title of this event. Thank you.